Chapter 6. Sej was eventually left. As she sits in front of her vanity mirror, her face was pitch dark. No matter what she did, Sej is his half-sister. It never crossed her thought that he would say that to his family. Wait, that's it? Family? Older brother? Rayton didn't bat an eyelash when she tried so hard to get his attention. Nevertheless, she didn't know that it would be this bad. Sej sighs deeply.
Is there a way to start a conversation with him? Talking about books or things that older brother usually likes.
But no matter how much she thought, there was nothing that came to her mind. She knew nothing about him. Sej realizes this fact too late.
Come to think of it, there was such a great quote in a book from an unknown country across the land, which said, "If you know your enemies and know yourself, you will not be imperiled in 100 battles. If you do not know your enemies nor yourself, you will be imperiled in every single battle." Is this the reason why I lost the battle?
She made an agitated expression.
I'll comb your hair for you, Your Highness.
Luna came up behind her with the comb and began to brush her shiny blondes with utmost care. Sitting absent-mindedly, Sej looked at Luna's reflection in the mirror.
Yeah. Luna probably knows more about Rayton than I do at least.
And that's where the crazy Sej carefully opened her lips.
Luna, I have a question.
Please feel free to ask me about anything.
Big Brother Rayton said.
Luna's hand, which combined her hair carefully, flinched.
Sir. Rayton?
That's right, it's him, not someone else. I met my brother in the library earlier.
Oh my God. Princess. Did you go to the library alone? I would have taken you with me if you said so.
Luna repeats her question in astonishment. Sej knew right away. Luna's response wasn't simply because she went out to the library alone, but because she was alone with Rayton there.
I beg of you. Please, don't do that from now on. No, just write a list of books you want to read. Then I'll borrow every single one of them.
Is it because of Big Brother Rayton?
Luna bit her lips.
Luna, are you afraid of my brother too?
I would be lying if I said no.
Of course you are.
Sej retorted to her question. To be very honest, Sej thought it was stupid to believe in such legend. How can he ruin everything when the Emperor is so ferocious to such an extent that no one dares to defy it? Till the point, he even slashed the Emperor's neck. And Rayton also killed her and her mother. He said he would kill anyone with blonde hair and blue eyes. So he might also have killed the Emperor. Was that really a legend? Suddenly she remembered the book Less Than the Theory of Monarchy Greater Than in the empty place near the window.
But that's not the case. Whether the legend is real or not. If I don't plan anything for my survival, I'm sure my neck would be slashed again in 5 years.
What kind of person is my brother? Does Luna know?
I heard that. He is a quiet person. And no matter how much he is bullied, he doesn't cry at all.
But he is so good at telling me to get out, though.
Sej tilted her head in confusion.
Your Highness, please stay away. From Sir Rayton.
Huh?
Everyone avoids him, and it would be better for you to follow the same.
Was it because of the legend?
Yes. But I don't think it's just because of the legend.
Luna stopped in the middle of her speech.
Is there anything else that I didn't know?
I've been going back and forth in the Imperial Palace. Sometimes my eyes meet his, and with all due respect, his eyes.
She was so scared. Luna shuddered just by thinking about it. Suddenly, his red eyes came to her mind. The blazing red eyes, quite contrary to Sej and the royal families. His eyes were so cool.
The other princes and princess aren't trying to get close to him either. So, Your Highness.
But that goes the same for me too.
Pardon?
You're not wrong about that. We're the same. My brother and I.
She said it without much thought. Because it was the truth. One is treated like garbage and one get a cold treatment. Well, to put it bluntly, she felt sorry for Rayton. She had never been forced into the lake. But Luna, who heard that, seems surprised by Set's words. She is making an expression like she was about to cry. It wasn't until then Sej realized that she had said something too cynical for a 12-year-old kid. She was about to open her mouth and fix what she said, but Luna spoke faster.
But Your Highness, Your Majesty always send you birthday gift on your birthday, right?
Well, thanks.
Do you mean useless presents?
Sej giggled weakly. That's because of her mother, Yerina, who was so upset that the Emperor wasn't interested in Sej either. So on her 10th birthday, the Emperor sent her stuffed toys and jewelry. Of course, she kept it well so she could use it when she leaves the palace in the future, but it wasn't a present that she liked. Suddenly she wondered. What did he get on his birthday? Stuffed toys like her.
What kind of present that they give for my brother?
Nothing.
Huh?
He never gets any, not even once. Lady Liza's the only one who celebrates Sir Rayton's birthday. They have dinner in Lady Liza's palace.
He is definitely more pitiful than me.
Sej nodded in understanding.
I think this year will be the same like before. Tomorrow is his birthday and Your Majesty has yet to give him a congratulatory message, let alone a present.
Tomorrow?
Your Highness?
You said tomorrow is his birthday?
Sej jumped from her seat. Luna had this surprised look on her face, but it's not the right time to even care about it. She needs an excuse. It would be obvious that she would be ignored if she visits the library again. So under these circumstances, celebrating his birthday seems like a good excuse to visit Rayton.
You said they were having dinner at Lady Liza's palace, right?
Your Highness. I'm sure you don't intend to go, right?
Luna said, impressing her.
You can't. Something might happen later, and I'm sure Lady Yerina won't like it either.
Isn't that just meaningless concern?
Sej thought that whatever happening now is way better than her neck got slashed again in 5 years.
I'm only going there to celebrate his birthday. Also, Luna. My mother doesn't like me no matter what I do.
Your Highness.
I'm going to pick some presents. I can't call a merchant since it's late already. There should be some jewelry that I can give.
Sej took out some from the jewelry box that she had kept and put it on her vanity table. She began to pick out the most expensive and good-looking ones. Luna's face was as pale as a ghost when she saw what Sej doing. Chapter 7. Lisa's palace was located inside the innermost part of the imperial palace on the northern side, to be precise. Simply by living in such a place, she had been insulted throughout her life and was fated to receive the jealousy of the other concubines in this next life. The other concubines traditionally lived in the southern area, but the location of Lisa's palace placed her in closest proximity to the emperor. Of course, Lise hadn't originally lived there from the very beginning. It was the emperor and his desire that caused this problem to arise. He had favored Lise and visited her on a daily basis. Thanks to his actions, the bullying she received worsened day after day. Only after Lisa's countenance had ruptured with blood from a stone thrown at her by the other concubines, perhaps Yerina or her lady-in-waiting, did the emperor realize how serious the situation had become. He quickly proceeded to move her palace to the one that he used when he was a prince. It was located in the most secluded part of the imperial palace and fitted with the best security, greatly reducing the possibility of encounters with others. As Sej made her way to Lisa's palace, she dug through her memory for something that she had never taken interest in before. As she had recalled earlier, the emperor had favored Lise before she had given birth and even after Rayton was brought into the world. It did not bode well for the emperor's favorite concubine to have a cursed child such as Rayton. Yerina would sometimes gossip about how the shallow young dancer got His Majesty wrapped around her little finger, or that she was good at warming His Majesty's bed because she was a dirty wench who was used to shaking her body on the street. Although Sej didn't understand it as a child back then, she gradually realized why the other concubines, including Yerina, hated Lise so much. It was natural to be jealous of her because she had the emperor's love, and they were afraid that they would lose their chance to fill the vacant empress seat. Additionally, it would have been even more disgraceful for them to lose to someone like Lise, who was originally from the lower class. But according to her memory, Lise was not a shallow woman, even Yerina had said so. She was always prudent and respectful to the princes and princess. She chose not to live in luxury and excess, unlike the other royal concubines. Lise was also very beautiful, and if Sej had been asked to name the most beautiful woman in all the Den Helder Empire, she would have pointed at Lise right away without any hesitation. She was just like an angel, with beautiful, fairy-like, silver hair and a pair of emerald eyes which shone as bright as a pair of jewels. Even after giving birth, she was still the most beautiful woman. But something was quite interesting about this, Sej muttered to herself. Who the hell did Big Brother inherit his black hair from, then? Such a trait was something far out of ordinary. In the Den Helder Empire, all the members of the imperial family bloodline have had blonde hair and blue eyes. No matter how far back they traced the generations, there wasn't anyone who did not inherit these traits. Rayton was an abnormality that appeared once out of 100 cases, so it was truly strange that he had been born with black hair from a blonde father and a silver-haired mother. It was only after Sej stopped all her useless thoughts that she realized she had already reached Lisa's palace. The palace was really different from the residences of the other royal concubines in the imperial palace. None were as heavily guarded as Lisa's. Sej started to look around as she stood in front of the entrance.
Princess says,
Oh, Orson.
"What brings you here?"
Orson asked with a puzzled look. Well, of course he would wonder about it. Sej, who had never held a proper conversation with Lise, had suddenly come to this place out of nowhere.
It's nothing. It's just that today is Big Brother Rayton's birthday. I prepared a present for him, and my brother has always spent his birthday at Lisa's palace, so...
There was no answer from Orson for a good moment.
Should I come up with a more plausible excuse?
Sej immediately regretted what she said, but the water was already spilt.
"I will talk to Lady Lise first. Would you please wait here for a while?"
Sure.
Orson then bowed and walked inside the palace. Sej now stood there, left alone and glancing at the guards.
I must look a little weird, right? No, not a little, but really weird. I was worried about this, but this is the only way for me to see him again.
Sej sincerely hoped that Lise wouldn't send her away from the gate. Around 10 minutes or so later, Orson appeared in front of her with a slightly brightened expression.
"Please follow me, Your Highness. I'll show you inside."
Sej secretly patted her chest triumphantly. Chapter 8. In contrast to how tightly and heavily guarded it was outside, Lisa's palace was small and not as luxuriously decorated as the other royal concubines. Even Set's old and worn-out room seemed to be better than this. They passed from one hall to another hall. Orson finally led her to the innermost corner of the palace, where the only furniture were small tables and chairs. The ladies-in-waiting were diligently preparing the meal, but Rayton and Lise were nowhere to be seen.
Princess says, "Please make yourself comfortable. Lady Lise will arrive soon."
Sej sat in an empty seat. It was really quite comfortable. She had never seen such a small table in a palace, let alone use it. Only her mother, Yerina, did. She had always used a long table, longer than her height, even when she was eating alone. "Is this what you actually like?" Sej stared at the food that began to fill the table one by one.
"Good evening, Princess says."
Sej raised her head at the unexpected voice. It was Lise who smiled brightly at her. After greeting Sej politely, Lise then took the seat opposite of her.
"You came to celebrate Rayton's birthday."
Yes. You must be surprised that I suddenly came over.
"It's all right. Thank you very much. Now, there's another person to celebrate his birthday."
The sweet and friendly remark that Lise made towards Sej made her feel relieved and relaxed. But will Big Brother Rayton think so, too? Sej smiled at her awkwardly.
"Rayton will be here soon. He said that he is on his way."
Oh, okay.
There was an awkward silence between them. Sej looked at Lise and kept her unnatural smile in front of her. Lise was very beautiful today. Her waist-length, silver hair was shiny, and those sparkling emerald eyes of hers shone brightly. They matched well with her fair, white skin, and the very same could have been said about her violet dress. As always, Lise looked as gorgeous as a fairy. To be frank, Serge wouldn't have been surprised if Lise had said, "I'm sorry, but please go back." The reason was simple. It was because of Set's mother, Yerina, who was the one who was jealous of and tormented Lise the most. But Lise continued to stare at Serge with her calm and angelic face. Serge couldn't help but feel remorseful when she saw Lise like that.
I worried frequently about him because it always seemed like he was alone in the palace.
Well, that much was true. If she had to name the loneliest person in the imperial palace, it would be Rayton, and of course, Serge.
However, I'm very glad that you came to visit me.
I am very grateful that you allowed me to join you for dinner.
Oh, it's not a problem at all.
Oh, shoot. That's right.
Before she could forget, Serge pulled out a small yet splendid-looking jewelry box.
It's not much, but I prepared a present for him.
Please give it to him yourself. It will be his first time receiving a gift from someone other than me, so I'm sure Rayton will be happy.
Serge couldn't believe that no one had ever given him a present, even though by now he was already a grown-up man. As she listened to Lise, she began to feel sorry for Rayton.
But will he really like the present? I'll be lucky if he doesn't throw it away later.
Of course, Serge couldn't say that out loud.
Lady says, how did you get along with Rayton?
We're not close at all. I'm just trying to get close to him.
Serge looked embarrassed, but Lise continued.
I was a little surprised. As far as I know, Rayton never had a single visitor from the Imperial Palace.
That's right.
Well, the situation is like that. But you know, he is just a little shy. He used to be misunderstood a lot because he was always so quiet and expressionless.
Lise stopped mid-speech as she heard the sound of the door opening. Serge gulped without realizing it. She turned to look back, and instead of his normally shy and expressionless disposition, she saw Rayton making the most unpleasant face in the world. But now he can't ignore me like he did in the library last time. Serge put on a determined look.
Come on, Rayton.
Lise called kindly.
Sit down. I've been waiting for you with Serge.
Regardless, Rayton's glare was directed at Serge. Serge stared back at Rayton and clenched her fist before putting on the loveliest look she could muster.
Happy birthday, big brother Rayton. I came here because I wanted to eat dinner with you. I also prepared a present. I hope you like.
Serge wasn't able to finish her sentence because Rayton suddenly approached her like a flash of lightning. Chapter 9, Birthday Dinner 1. A strange vision passed through Set's mind as she braced herself for what Rayton was about to do as he approached her. She had already imagined beforehand the many ways he would react the moment she arrived at Lise's palace. He might come at her with a furious expression, a bloody vein popped out on his forehead. He would be biting his lips, glaring at her with his cold, red eyes as his hand reached for the nape of her neck. That's right, that kind of image. Just like what he was doing now. But then, Lise opened her lips.
Rayton.
The gentle voice that had previously been speaking so sweetly with Serge was no longer there. Instead, it had been replaced with a deeper, more forceful tone. Lise's expression had also turned cold. But what surprised Serge more was that Rayton, who had gone towards her fully intent on strangling her delicate neck, started to hesitate upon hearing that voice.
Come on. Sit down. The food is getting cold, isn't it?
Did I mishear her?
As if nothing had happened in the first place, Lise resumed her angelic expression once more.
Come on. Sit down.
The words that she spoke just now were also warm. Serge was very cautious of Rayton. He glared at her as if he truly did mean to kill her while he made his way to the seat beside her.
What could have possibly happened between Rayton and Lady Lise?
Serge couldn't hide her curiosity and stared at Lise. Lise just smiled at her as if there was nothing out of the ordinary.
Now that Rayton is here, we better start eating right away. You must be very hungry, aren't you?
Ah, yes.
Please help yourself. Had I known you were coming, I would have prepared more special dishes for you. I don't know if what we have here will suit your tastes.
She says that, but it doesn't seem like that at all. This table is full of all sorts of foods, and everything looks so plentiful and delicious. The problem is, no matter what kind of food they serve, I don't think they will let me go now.
Sej stealthily snuck a glance at Rayton. He was eating with his eyes fully focused on his plate, and Sej wasn't sure whether he was intending to ignore her or not. Nevertheless, he exuded a murderous aura around him, and now Sej wanted to slap herself for saying she would join them for dinner. Sej started to cut her meat with shaky hands. Afterwards, she lifted a small piece into her mouth, chewed, and swallowed it. Now that she had already come this far, she couldn't suddenly make up an excuse for not feeling well.
It's really delicious, Lady Lies.
I am glad.
Lise grinned. Fortunately, the rest of the meal went rather smoothly. Lise was very friendly and occasionally recommended some dishes for Sej to try. She had no trouble eating it all. And Rayton, being himself, of course, ate without uttering a single word.
So, Rayton, this is the first time that we've had other people to celebrate your birthday with.
Lise said while sipping her tea.
You should show your gratitude to Her Highness. She went to the trouble of coming here.
No, not at all. I came here on my own accord.
Sej was flustered.
What kind of gratitude would that be, anyway? Rayton keeps glaring at me like he is really going to kill me.
Ah, that reminds me. I didn't get to hear the answer earlier, but how did Your Highness get close to Rayton?
Lise looked at her with curiosity while Rayton's face twisted with disgust. Well, of course, this was quite an embarrassing situation for Sej.
We're not close.
Rayton said faintly.
Not at all.
As if one strike wasn't enough, he added the latter to drive her to the edge of a cliff.
We haven't gotten close yet, but I came here so. I could get closer to him. Lady Rise.
Oh my, I see.
Lise smiled brightly. She thought about something for a moment before opening her lips.
Princess, you like reading.
Sej started to skim her memories. Children around her age would usually read fairy tales, but unfortunately, those types of novels normally went to the other princes and princesses. The West Library was instead full of books with heavier, more serious themes. Sej figured that she would be reading a book about Kazaki. Kazaki was a language that was spoken in a land located far across the sea. It was easier to learn than most other languages, and she had thought that it would be useful to her in the future when she leaves the imperial palace. So Sej had tried her best to learn the language. But of course, she wouldn't have done it had she known she was going to die first before she could succeed in ever using the language.
I'm studying Kazaki these days.
Right? I heard from the Grand Chamberlain that your lady-in-waiting is frequently borrowing books from the West Library.
Yes, I don't really have much to do in the Imperial Palace in the first place.
I see. What do you like to read these days?
What books did I read during this time?
Oh my, Kazaki?
Lise sounded delighted upon hearing that.
Pardon?
I don't know if Your Highness knows about this, but I actually originally came from the Iwan Empire before I arrived in the Denhelder Empire. So I know how to speak Kazaki and have been teaching Rayton the language too.
The Yuan Empire. It was an empire located across the sea and also an empire that spoke Kazaki.
Rayton, why don't you teach the Princess Kazaki in return for her celebrating your birthday?
At that moment, Rayton made a distorted expression. As his red eyes turned their glare towards her, the flustered girl started to cough. Chapter 10, Birthday Dinner 2.
Are you all right?
Sej nodded and gulped down her water.
If it's all right with you, how about you start studying with Rayton at the library tomorrow? He often visits the West Library too.
I'm all right with that.
Well, she needed an excuse to get closer to him after all, and luckily Lisa's suggestion was helping her along. Meanwhile, Rayton seemed like he had no intention of listening to Lise this time around.
No.
Rayton.
Why should I become that kid's tutor?
I am not a kid.
At least mentally she wasn't, though technically, yes, right now she was physically in her 12-year-old body. Sej parted her lips to respond, but Lise spoke first.
Rayton, don't say that.
Lise wasn't able to finish her sentence since Orson suddenly burst into the room.
Excuse me, Lady Lise.
What happened?
The Emperor has asked me to bring you to him.
A strange silence fell over the small table. Sej saw Lisa's beautiful face turn cold.
All right. Please tell him that I'll be there soon.
I understand.
Orson disappeared with a brief nod. A strange aura loomed over the room's remaining occupants. Of course, the atmosphere around them hadn't been very comfortable until now, but Sej wasn't sure what to do with herself except look away awkwardly.
I'm sorry, Your Highness, but I think we will have to end our conversation here.
Oh, I understand. Please, don't mind me.
Could you wait here for a moment? I have something to talk to Rayton about. He will take you back to your palace once our talk is over.
You want me to go back with him?
Set's eyes widened in surprise, but Lise just smiled back at her. Lise rose from her seat and bade her farewell with an extravagant bow, so much so that Sej briefly wondered if it was purposefully exaggerated. Rayton followed his mother out, leaving Sej alone again. She was seriously starting to worry that she was going to lose her head today instead of in 5 years. Lise was expressionless as she sat combing her disheveled hair in front of her vanity table. She looked at her son's reflection in the mirror.
It seems like Princess Sez is interested in you.
I've never even thought about her.
Rayton answered curtly.
Not even once.
He meant it. He didn't care about that kid, and whatever she did was none of his business.
You shall teach Kazaki to the princess tomorrow.
Mother.
Your answer?
No. Why should I take my time?
Lise looked back at her son, without a word. Her emerald eyes locked with his blood-red irises.
She's Yarena's daughter.
Why does that matter?
I believe she will be useful someday.
Useful? That woman is the one who wants to kill Mother the most in the Imperial Palace, and her daughter is useless.
That would be the case if the princess and Yarena were the same as the others, but she is not, and you know it, right? They don't have a good relationship.
Rayton did know. Like him, Sej was also infamous in the Imperial Palace, but for a different reason. Yarena didn't love her daughter at all. Rather than embrace her, she would be angry with her all the time and would even go so far as to humiliate her in front of other people. Even Rayton was aware of how coldly Sej was treated.
Although Yarena's family situation is like that, she holds the Imperial Palace in the palm of her hand. So, what if one day she dies? If Princess Sez also has the ability to hold influence over the Imperial Palace, then it won't be hard to turn those who were in Yarena's group to me. I'm sure there will be value in keeping the princess around.
Rayton nibbled his lips.
Wouldn't it be better to prepare thoroughly?
Lise smiled lightly. Then, she took something out from under the bed and handed it to her son.
It's your 18th birthday present. You take care of it.
Rayton carefully unraveled the wrapping paper from the parcel. It was a sword of the finest craftsmanship that even the other princes didn't have.
Someday, things are bound to happen.
Rayton nodded.
Are you still going to visit the Emperor?
I can't help it.
The voice that came from her lips was cold. With an equally frigid indifference, Lise opened a drawer and pulled out a small bottle. The light purple medicine within the small, transparent bottle was gleaming. Lise opened the lid and drank it all in one gulp without any hesitation. Rayton's expression darkened as he looked at his mother. After she placed the bottle back down, Lise turned her gaze back towards Rayton.
You are my only son, Rayton. now and forever. You must always remember that.
I understand.
Rayton answered her quietly. Pleased with his response, Lise grinned.
Now, go and take the princess back. Remember to teach her Kazaki.
I understand.
The small voice drifted from his lips. Rayton bowed politely before making his way back to the place where Sej was waiting.